Welcome to the VIP Home Podcast. I'm Jeff, and this is Caroline.
And Zoey.
And Zoey, yes, we have our special friend today. This is Zoey. Because what are we talking about today?
Pet safety.
Yeah, you can see Zoey's very excited. So, Lindsey, tell me about the Center for Pet Safety. What's it all about?
Nonprofit organization, and we're working to educate pet owners. There's a lot of noise out there. We look at pet product safety. We look at everything from like travel safety, what you need to know, how to protect your pets, what kinds of treats and things to give to keep your pets as safe as possible. In today's overly marketed world.
Being a new pet owner myself, what are some tips and tricks you would share with us to make sure that our pets are safe in their new home, to keep them out of trouble?
You think about when people have a new baby, right? It's a similar situation. So you want to make sure that you kind of baby-proof your home in a similar way. So you want to install baby gates, possibly to kind of limit their area access. Ensure your electrical sockets are covered. Conceal electrical wires; those are really important. And if you have stairs or lofts, like a lot of the big, the new, transitional homes have, you sometimes have a two-level area in the home. You want to kind of secure off with some netting, especially if you have a young puppy. Secure that off. There's baby-proofing netting that you can zip tie to the railing systems. To ensure that the puppy doesn't fall through, and we recommend that for decks and things as well. So if you have an outdoor deck, you just want to make sure that you know where your pet is at all times, especially when you bring them home and you're acclimating them.
I had friends over, and they had a little Chihuahua, and it actually fell down our stairs, and it's like an older dog, like an older Chihuahua, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened?
That is so sad.
I know. I think it slipped. So
okay?
Well, yes, it survived. So the first thing that we did was we went and got a runner for the stairs, because obviously
you have two little pups.
Yeah, I have two little mini hot dogs, Penny and Buggy. And they are the best. And, those dogs, with the long backs, they have a lot of back problems. And so going up and down stairs, we try to carry them as much as we can. But sometimes they get too excited and they come down the stairs. But yeah, without the runner on there, it was really scary. I was scared. Because on the wood, they just slide around with their nails.
They do say that you should trim in between their pads, that they'll slide a little less.
Oh, I didn't know
Exhibit A. I did it just the other day.
We also recommend that you get your pets enrolled in an obedience class, a basic obedience class, right away. As soon as they've had their first shots, the puppy should be safe, especially for younger dogs, older dogs as well. You need that human-animal bond to develop, and you also want them to understand and master commands like, come here and sit and stay, because those can be invaluable if you have an emergency situation in your home. Very, very critical for your pet to respond to your voice commands.
So you're saying you can teach old dogs new tricks? Is that what you're saying?
Tricks, absolutely. And they thrive on that building of that bond. I mean, that's really where that's why we have pets in our lives, so we can love on them. But we also need to make sure that they know what they need to do when we tell them.
Are you doing obedience training?
We are.
I can tell.
We just started. She is a really good puppy.
How old is she?
4 months.
So that's very much still a puppy.
Yeah. And she's really good with sit. She also confuses sit with laying down, but I'll take it for at least right now. And that's kind of as far as we've come.
Yeah, we never did an obedience class. I did Dr. Ian Dunbar. I tried to give it to you.
Sent it to me.
It worked. Our dogs pretty much behave themselves.
They talk a lot.
They do.
Well, Zoey wasn't really treat focused, other than up until maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So it was very hard to prompt her with something. She being told she did a good job, but it wasn't enough. So now she finally likes treats. So I feel like we're making progress there.
And for the cats and things, you just touch on, kitties they need their own space too. Mm-hmm. So when you bring home a new cat or a new little kitten, you kind of want to set up a safe room for them, and with a litter box and access to food and water and a little comfy place to sleep, someplace that's their own. And it should have a door on it so that they're safe. throw some toys in there, a scratching post or something that they can kind of make it their own. But yeah, we can't forget the cats. Cats are important pets as well.
We should definitely not forget, fish. Let's not forget fish. They
definitely need water. Water at all times.
Well, I'm kind of half kidding because I used to have discus fish, and so you did have to have an emergency backup pump.
Fish? Oh.
Pump, because if we were in a hurricane and like the pump stops, that's a big problem. But I no longer, those were like a lot of work. Discus were. So dogs only, because that's as
dogs
much as I can.
Cats only.
And cats, fine. Okay.
What items in the house do you think pose the biggest threat to pets? Like we have houseplants, or
there are a lot of things in a home that people don't even think about. So the first thing I'm going to touch on, because we had this experience in my personal home, is neglected home maintenance. Absolutely maintain your HVAC systems. Make sure that all of that stuff needs to be taken care of. Even if everything's functioning just fine and you think it's good, if you're out of the home one day and all of a sudden your HVAC system catches fire because it can't drain, it's terrifying. We had that happen in my home. I thought everything was great, wonderful, no problem, and we had so much condensate buildup, the drain line was clogged. Wow. And it dripped all over the blower motor, caught the little blower motor on fire, and I was luckily home, and thank God we have a fire department, literally blocks away from my home, but it was, I learned so much from that experience. Make sure you get your home maintenance done.
So our app really focuses on like home maintenance, home inventory, and you plug in your home's information, and the app will send you tailored reminders on when to update your HVAC or your smoke detectors. So you should check it out.
There's a lot of things in the house that you're not gonna remember to check everything, and so that's the purpose of the app, is to have personalized reminders for users of the app so that they don't forget like the simple things that can pose a risk to your family and your pets. It's really important. Definitely check out vipHomeLink.
Other things pet owners don't really think about are food packaging. Chip bags and other things that we don't even think about on a daily basis. We work with an organization called Prevent Pet Suffocation. And Bonnie Harlan started this mission after her dog suffocated in a food package. It's amazing how many pets are succumbing to this.
These Mylar-type bags create a vacuum-like seal around the dog's neck. As he tries to breathe, the bag tightens, cutting off the oxygen. Pet size or breed does not matter. Pet suffocation happens within minutes. The problem is most people don't know about the risk until it happens to their pet. By then, it's usually too late. To prevent pet suffocation, cut up all food bags. Store food and snacks out of reach of your pet. Keep your trash safely secured. Serve snacks in glass bowls or containers, and learn CPR. Please help us by sharing on social media and educating your family and friends. Visit our website at preventpetsuffocation.com to learn how to keep dogs, cats, and wildlife safe. The pet you save may be your own.
There's xylitol in chewing gum that's poisonous for dogs. Dogs will eat whatever. They're just like little vacuums.
Stage now.
Yeah, like you were saying with the gums and things, the candies, the xylitol in those it's highly toxic to pets. We touch on that a lot. If you bring your purse home or your work bag home and you have chewing gum or sugar-free anything in your bag, make sure that you put it out of reach of your pets, because if they get in it, you've got an emergency room visit coming up. You've got to get them there as soon as possible. It's just crazy. We don't even think about those things. And the other thing we want to touch on is medications in the home, especially if you have an older family member. A lot of us are becoming caregivers at this point in our life, and we have to think about what happens if, an elderly parent or someone who's in a caregiving situation, if you drop a pill on the floor.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it is critical, and I was a caregiver for a very long time. I cared for 3 family members. Those are one of those things you have to watch out for. How many pills did we pick up? It was crazy. Wow. So just be mindful.
I lived in Denver, Colorado for a while, and there was a huge spike when they passed the law for cannabis out in Denver, there was a huge spike for dogs going to the ER because their owners would drop treats, weed, and the dogs would eat them, and they'd be like, well, what's wrong with my dog? And they'd run to the emergency room. Huge spike. So hopefully that's tapered down with education, I guess.
Other things like antifreeze and fertilizers and, there's all sorts of things that we have in our homes. Just use common sense with some of it and just make sure if it's toxic to you, it's likely toxic to your pet, so you want to keep it out of it.
Toxicity in dogs. I know my dogs are really small, so that's why I'm scared, because they could eat whatever, and for a larger dog, it may not have a huge effect, but it could be really bad for a smaller dog. I know of garlic and onions and chocolate. Are there any other things that people should know about in terms of things to keep away from their dogs?
People say, don't give your dogs raisins, don't give your dogs, like you said, garlic. It's small quantities. They're not going to hurt your pet, right? But in larger quantities, they can definitely do some significant damage. Yeah, you want to make sure, especially chocolates. I don't know how many people we've heard from, my dog ate a bag of chocolates. Do I have to get him to the vet? Yeah, you do.
When my dog Penny, again, I have so many stories because it's
Penny just seems like a
she's a troublemaker. I'm not gonna blame my wife, but it was my wife's fault.
Normally it's just
normally it's my fault, but
okay.
So my wife had a raisin bread something, and she picked all the raisins out. And then she put it, for some reason, in the waste paper basket in the upstairs bathroom. Like, that's...
How strange.
How strange. Like, what? First of all,
Liz.
what? And then she comes back and, she's like, I think Penny ate a bunch of raisins. And I was like, how does that happen? And she explained it to me, and so we called the emergency poison control hotline, and they told us to, I guess, have her... force the dog to drink baking soda solution, some sort of baking soda, and it basically made her vomit all up. And sure enough, there was a handful of raisins, and I guess that can cause some serious problems.
Yeah. Well, I heard with chocolate, it is bad for them, but they get not addicted, they just want more of it. So
they just keep eating.
No, not at that time, but they'll start to smell it and really want it and be mischievous.
Is that what you're like when you have chocolate?
I hate chocolate, right. I don't even have it in our house.
Yeah, you got to be careful with alcohol too. I had an English Cocker years ago. I had a cocktail one night. I stuck it on the table, and I turned around, and Rupert was over there having a drink. So you want to be careful. You want to be careful. You don't do stuff like that. Keep it out of their reach.
I'm pretty sure in high school, one of my friends fed a beer to my dog, and
I was gonna say,
it's not cool, man.
Similar, but
not cool. Inside the home, there's lots that can go wrong. Obviously, for me at least, the biggest danger that I was worried about, because we moved to a residential neighborhood, there's cars going by. The first thing we did was we put in a fence around our backyard, because I just didn't want my dogs to run into the street. Is that a big thing that happens? I'm sure that's one of the biggest, I would assume.
We actually recommend barrier fences, the ones that have some height to them, whether it's 4 foot, 6 foot, however tall, and make it a constructed fence. We do not recommend electric fences, and they are too easy to breach. And then if you do have a dog that's trained, if you have, we have a lot of coyotes out where I live, the dog can become prey. They can't leave their perimeter area, but other animals and things can come in. So we really want barrier fences. We want people to think about that. And that was a great move. That's the first thing we typically recommend when you get a new dog, is to make sure that you have a fenced backyard. It is critical to keep them secure.
It's just peace of mind for us. We never let them out and just let them out and don't watch them. We're always I don't know, we're a little overbearing, I feel like. Put in a 6-foot fence with the doggy guard, so they couldn't dig underneath it even, because there's bears where I live.
Video son of a
Get ready
right
to get
in the
house.
front yard.
Oh my God.
Holy
Get ready to come in, Core.
I'm coming.
Honey.
God, I'm going in.
Fox, we had Fox coming up to the house.
Fox, you had Fox?
Foxes?
Fox?
Fox-eye? Is it Fox-eye? No, it's Fox, right?
But it's a fox.
Well, there were 2 of them.
Then it's foxes.
Fleet foxes? Two. A fleet of foxes. All right, so I had foxes. Foxes would approach like in the middle of the day. They would come up, and I was like, "No, this cannot happen." So fence went in immediately. Your dog's probably not at risk, but from the air, you have hawks, big predatory birds.
We have a huge hawks in our neighborhood.
Exactly. So that was something like I'm pretty sure I've seen. Maybe I made it up in my mind, a video on YouTube where a small dog gets...
No, that's from the
That's
movie.
a movie. That's a movie. You're right. But anyway, it scared me. It scared me enough to really, like, at first I was thinking that...
Sometimes you have to let your kids grow up into being their own person.
I had a hawk swoop down, like, enough where I could throw a stone at it over my dogs when I was standing there. So that was, it's scary.
It's more frequent than people even realize. I live out in Virginia horse country, out in the suburbs of D.C., and we have tons of raptor birds out here. It's crazy, and that's the thing. And I'm looking at getting a new puppy myself. I should have one hopefully later this year. And it's a little toy thing. It's going to be a little foo-foo little dog. Yeah. But that's a big concern, is to make sure that, it doesn't appear like a rabbit to a hog. That's you were right on track with that. That's why you need to stay outside sometimes with your pets, especially when they're little ones. You need to be that distraction. You need to help them feel secure, and you want to watch them, make sure they don't get into trouble.
That's the best advice, is just watch your pets.
My parents, they have a medium-sized golden doodle, and she just loves to be outside, and she'll be outside for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fenced in, and she really just sits on the porch, but
yeah, I mean, if I had a larger dog, I wouldn't worry. But my dogs are 8-9 pounds, so hawk meat, basically a good snack for a large predatory bird.
Are there some plants, house plants or outdoor plants, that are no-goes for pups? Granted, I kill all plants, so that doesn't really matter for me. But for the masses out there.
Poinsettia, right? I know poinsettia.
Poinsettias, lilies, especially if you have cats. Do not bring lilies anywhere near your property. But do not allow them in your home if you have an arrangement come in. Pull them out and dispose of them quickly. Highly toxic. Lots of plants are toxic to pets. Most pets aren't going to go and chew on them. Azaleas, rhododendrons, lilies of the valley, geraniums. I actually have a degree in horticulture.
Oh,
wow.
It kind of helps.
Impressive.
That kind of helps me.
Morning Glory, too. Morning Glory is one
yes,
that's very
highly toxic taxus, which is a yew, the yew plant. There are so many toxic plants. Use good judgment when you plan your landscape.
Yeah.
And also the number one thing, especially during rainy season, remove every mushroom you can find in your backyard.
Because dogs will probably eat mushrooms. I could see my dogs nibbling on some mushrooms.
Mushrooms are so good, though.
Not
for
the
humans.
poisonous ones.
Well, no, I'm just saying, mushrooms is a vegetable. Are really yummy.
Well, yeah, but for dogs is, if they pick up the wrong one, I have a dog who eats everything. Mm-hmm. Natty is a Cavalier King Charles, and he loves mushrooms.
Oh my God.
So he'd make a great truffle dog. He loves to dig, and we had all these things in the backyard that were underground mushrooms he'd find. But yeah, we have to be careful. I've had to have his stomach pumped already.
Oh,
no
dear.
way. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Well, you have to get pet insurance.
Yes. Pet insurance.
I bought it when I bought her. I bought it on the car ride home. We have Trupanion.
Pet insurance was definitely necessary. The dachshunds were just waiting for their backs to have to go into some sort of surgical procedure. So we got that immediately. And yeah, getting the stomach pump, that happened to Penny. Again,
Gosh,
we were...
Put her up for adoption.
All right, so I would never do that. But here's the story. So we are first time on the beach with Penny. Right, first time, and she is loving it. She's booking back and forth, up and down. I'm running around. I'm throwing the frisbee. Awesome. And then, yeah, and I was like, this was great. I did such a great thing with my dog. My wife's gonna love that I got out here, and what a great day. And then we're later that day, we're walking around town, and she just starts vomiting blood, and I'm like, oh God. So what happened was that I watched her the entire time, but little did I know that she would hit her nose into the sand and immediately lick it.
Oh.
Nose in the sand, lick. And she would do that for an hour, where she just licking her nose filled her entire belly up with sand. We took an X-ray and the vet
her
was
belly's
like,
probably so
yeah,
small.
we're gonna have to pump this dog's stomach like immediately. So then I bought her like a little muzzle, like a little duck build. It looks like a duck.
Yeah.
It's like a yellow duck, and she hated that. But so now we just don't go on the beach, which is really sad.
Aw.
It's amazing what pets will eat, honestly, especially, crazy dogs like Maddie. I adore him. He's lovely. He's a wonderful little dog, but he eats absolutely everything. So, yeah, I feel your pain. I do.
Don't eat everything. Dogs, once they're trained or older, like they tend to stay home alone while their owners go to work or run errands. What's the time frame for a dog being able to stay at home?
It's a tough call for the time frame. Some people, they work all day, so they're gone, 10, 12 hours a day. You should crate train your pets. And we do recommend that you do secure your pets in a specific area of the home. Also let your neighbors know where you secure your pets, just in case you have a home emergency and you're not available. Your neighbors will be contacted by the first responders that come to your home. Mm-hmm. That's the first place they'll go. Leaving your pet home alone is pretty normal. Most of the time they sleep during the day. We do recommend maybe considering getting a qualified pet sitter.
Okay.
We recommend Pet Sitters International. So going into the PSI network and finding a pet sitter that's licensed and bonded is really what we recommend. Mm-hmm. There are lots of different pet sitter applications and a lot of gig economy things out there, but they do have a fairly high incident rate. Mm-hmm. So we do want pet owners to just be aware of that, and we recommend PSI. Securing them in a space of the house, make sure they have their food and water. That's really the best you can do for them.
What about a camera? Do you recommend?
Oh, I have the Furbo.
The Furbo.
My parents or my sister-in-law or somebody got us a Furbo, which is a camera that you put on your counter and you can watch your pets, but it also gives them treats.
Oh, wait, so can you go on your phone and feed them a treat during the day?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I need
it's
one of
so cute. Your wife is home with
I
them.
still want to feed my dog a treat during the day. What's wrong with that? She does. My wife does get to work with the dogs all day. She has her little
They're
coworkers.
her coworkers.
Yeah. I'm very jealous.
You have one today.
It's true. We're very tech focused, so we're always looking for some sort of device to fix our lives. But is there one? Is there one that we can't live without?
There's so many out there that a lot of people install cameras in their homes so they can monitor their pets, find out what trouble they're getting into, or just sit there and watch them sleep. Yeah. It actually makes them as pet owners feel better. Those tech products are more for us than for the pets.
True.
But that's what you can do. Is always it's good to have monitoring devices in place. But we don't recommend a specific brand of them. That's really up to the individual pet owner, depending on what system they have installed in their home. Most companies offer these nowadays. Yeah. But yeah, if it makes you feel better, absolutely, it can't hurt. When
we both worked and we had to leave them home, we would always check the camera. I mean, my camera would be on all day, and I'd be looking at my dogs, and I'd watch the walker come in and take them out. I mean, I was like crazy. I needed to know that they were getting taken care of while I'm hard at work.
Also if you're spending money, you want to make sure that you're paying for what
exactly
you're spending.
Exactly. Hey, Zoey.
Yeah, and I think the pets, they appreciate the occasional distraction too with the Furbo and all. But yeah, it's they can be fun for people when you have to be away from home. I know I get sad when I have to leave my guys here. So
3 to 4 hours max, right, to leave them in a crate? You don't want to go longer than that.
Yeah, really don't. If you can avoid it, that would be fine. I mean, I have a section of my home where I keep my dogs. They're secured with X pens.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like a big runaround room, an area for them that they can play in. Easy to clean up, that kind of thing. We put potty pads down, and that way they have a larger area. They can get up and stretch their legs if they want to. They can go play if they want to. But I always know where they are because we've got gating systems up, and the pet sitters have been trained. The pet sitters come every 5 hours or so here, I would say.
We just talked about how they should only stay in their crates for 3 to 4 hours, but we're crate training her only at night, but she can sleep for 8 hours. So why is it that during the day it's only 3 to 4?
Well, again, pets need to their time. Their clock is just as sensitive as ours. So they're usually having their breakfast, and they have water after they have their breakfast, and you go out and exercise them. But it's more of a rule of thumb so that they can get up and stretch their legs and, get their circulation going, get their heart rate moving. Yeah. There's not a tried and true rule. Especially if you're crate training at night, they're sleeping while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And your pets do the same thing. Most of the day, your pets are sleeping as well.
Oh, the life. I really want it.
I've heard of and this is my
Zoey,
biggest
cover your
nightmare,
ears.
of somebody dog snatching.
Bruce,
Is that a
paws
thing?
off, man.
Is that,
I don't trust you now.
Is that a thing that happens? Like people steal dogs and sell them on Craigslist?
Oh my
That's
God, not
biggest-
even on a reputable website? That's terrible. It's even worse.
No, it happens. It happens, and that's the thing. So, pet theft is on the rise. It absolutely is. It's more common for small dogs. Not to give you any more fear, but yeah. So it's more common for small dogs. They can be easily marketed elsewhere.
Easily snatched and hidden in a pocket, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and so that's why you want to stay out in the backyard with your pets. We recommend that you monitor when they're outside, and you make sure that they're microchipped.
Gotta have a chip.
Yes.
Gotta have a chip.
May 5th.
Always make sure.
She's going.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because that's one way they can find their way back to you if something happens to them. But we don't leave your pets outdoors unattended to. Do
Never.
not leave them in the car alone at any time
Never.
for any reason, ever. It's a sad situation, but that is true.
It was so sad. In town this past weekend, this family adopted a dog from Oklahoma, and he was a 2-year-old lab. And I don't know if they drove from Oklahoma or what, but when they had gotten home and they opened the trunk, he ran away. Being home for 2 minutes, first time ever. And he was gone for 2 days, but he ended up being in my parents' neighborhood, but she didn't even know her name. It was so sad. They did get her back, but so I'd be scared of that too.
Here it's like Fort Knox, right? So you would drive into the garage, we close the garage doors, and the dog can come out. It really depends on how paranoid you really are. But that's why, leash training, making sure you always have a leash on that dog at all times is so critical. We have so many people that call us and they're like, oh, my dog ran away, what can I do? And it's, we just refer them to the dog finder network to try and find, see if they can help place it. We've had several dogs disappear from my neighborhood this year alone. They just kind of wandered off. No one took them. But they just kind of wandered off, and, it was snowing out and freezing rain, and it was really, really tough for the entire neighborhood. Everybody loved these dogs.
I had a close call at friends. They were babysitting another person's dog. They're all dachshunds, little hot dogs, and we were over for dinner, and we went out, and the dog just took off. They were on a really busy 4-lane kind of highway, and the dog just ran right through traffic, and we were all just covering our eyes basically. And then it circled back and ran, and then it disappeared. And it was snowy. We were in Denver, and it was snowy, and we were calling it, for an hour, and somehow my wife found the dog behind a dumpster,
I'm just going to make it a rule of thumb for you to start your stories with how they end.
Yeah.
Because I'm not ever convinced that they end well.
No, we found the dog. The dog was okay. But it's so frightening. Oh my God.
It is, but again, there are things you can do to help prevent those things.
Yeah.
So that's the bright side, and we have to focus on helping educate pet owners to ensure that they're doing the right thing. So that's good.
Yeah, and a lot of these social networks nowadays are, it's one of the biggest things I see is I just saw a dog, wearing a blue sweater on 202, and then, you see the chain and finally the dog gets found. It's
Yeah,
cool.
well, next door must be, then neighborhood out must be
Yeah.
useful in a time like that.
That's what happened with my neighbor's dog, was that they contacted all the local shelters and everything when the dog got out, because it was an elderly dog, and he was wandering through our neighborhood, and no one knew that he was not supposed to be there. But they activated the social network and through the neighborhood community network, and dog was found within an hour.
Oh, thank God.
After being out for 3 days.
Oh.
It took a while because it happened at 5:30 on a Friday night, and they found him around noon. after they were able to get the HOA involved, and they found him on noon on Monday.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad that story ended well too. I'm getting very anxious with all these stories.
I have one more story for you, and then we'll stop. But
remember my rule.
So, all right, you want me to start at the end?
Yes.
The dog lives.
Okay.
Buggy, the younger of my dachshunds, was I used to paddleboard a lot in California, and she would go with me on the paddleboard.
Cute.
And she had, of course, pet safety. She had her life vest. In retrospect, I should have had a lead tied to me. I didn't, because I was rounding a corner, and it was going around Balboa Island, and there's no beach or anything. It's just like a marina and then a huge bay. And I was going, she was walking up and down between my legs. I'm like watching her, and then I must have hit a wake. And then I'm just paddling, and then I like look back and she's gone. And I can't tell you the amount of panic that like just overcame me, and I was screaming her name.
This is a side of Jeff I've never seen before. Like, it's so nice to see
It
this
was,
side of you.
well, I mean, you go into like complete panic mode. Like
They tell you not to do that, in fact.
but I did. And so I'm like, I turned around and I'm like going back, and you know, there's people like cleaning boats, and I'm like, have you seen my dog? And they're like, no, like what? If she went across the bay, that would have been it. For about 90 seconds, I had no idea where she was. And then I saw her trying to get up on like a jet ski platform.
Aww.
And I picked her up by the handle, and I didn't tell my wife for like a year.
Oh, I was going to say, well, she'll find out now.
Yeah, no, I eventually, I don't know, just randomly, I was like, so this one time. And she's like, I can't believe you never told me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's terrible.
Poor Buggy.
Poor Buggy.
But she's
Poor
like a little
Liz.
seal. She's like a
Aw.
little, she's very good in the water. But
Okay.
but
I can't
it's
wait
still,
to introduce Zoey to the water, other than the shower, which she hates.
yeah, don't throw them in. That's all I can say, because you'll scar them for life. Yeah, you want to like treats and toys and make it fun, but definitely don't just like, you know, make them swim.
much fun with you.
We had the emergency situation in my house when we had the fire, and it wasn't a big fire, so. But I did learn very quickly that I needed an evacuation kit for my dogs. I didn't even think this would ever happen to us, and I'd read all the drills. I mean, I'm in the pet safety world for years at this point, and I know where their collars and leashes are, and I'm always good about that. But you know what? I didn't know where their collars and leashes are, and I was so disoriented because I fell asleep in my chair, and all of a sudden my house filled with smoke, and I didn't even realize it.
That's really scary.
But the smoke detectors didn't, nothing. It was just, home maintenance was not my thing at that point. But I did develop an evacuation kit for my dogs, and I hang it on the back of the front door. And it's really just a simple D-ring loop leash. A lot of vets give them away.
Yes.
I've got a copy of the registration papers in there. It's a waterproof little pouch and a neon color, so I know where it is. I installed a monitored alarm system after that situation happened. And we had one of the alarm systems go off. I think it was around 10:30, sometime this past October. I was sound asleep upstairs. The dogs were up with me, and it's like, fire in the basement, evacuate immediately. And it was just a malfunctioning alarm, but I did not know that. So the evacuation kit worked great. I looped all the dogs, on each had their own leash. I took them out front, and we waited for the fire department to show.
Good practice for the real thing.
I would have just been like, grab the dog, grab a leash. Everything else is really replaceable, but like the registration papers and stuff like that, that isn't as easy to get.
Yeah.
So that's and the waterproofing part of it, very smart.
Little bug out bag for your dog.
I always keep the thought of a fire in my house. After that experience, I'm like, okay, what do I need to know? And so that was really critical. And that way, if we had a fire, I could just throw that bag out on the front lawn, and it could get as soaking wet and covered with stuff as possible, and we could go find it because it's a neon color. And, it's got a handle on it, a loop handle, so I could just put it on my wrist as well. But the goal is to just get out of the house if you do have an emergency. So you've got to remember to do those types of things.
Do you recommend people have like the stickers for the fire people to know that you have pets in the home? Is that something that we should all do, or?
No, actually. So this is a really interesting topic, because I went after we had our situation, the fire in my basement. I did go and meet with our local fire chief and his team, the battalion chiefs, and all of the firefighters we have, and I attended a live burn session so I could learn more about fire safety for pets and how firefighters can actually locate pets when they do walk into a home, and what their mission is when they first arrive on site. So it's a very interesting attack that they do on a house that has a fire or a potential fire going on. One of the tips I had was, look at all these stickers, guys. Are these helpful? And they actually don't recommend them at all.
Why is that?
So number one, they're very difficult to see from the street, and they don't go look for them at all. They don't look for them. They're not reflective. Some of them are clear. And it's crazy. You can't see them on the front. And they also, one of the challenges is they ask you to put your phone number on them. So this is another thing that we learned, was that if you put your phone number on the sticker on the front door and have the names of the dogs or the count of the dogs and the cats, you could have some nefarious individual come up and dial that number and say, "Hi, I'm the local fire department. I need to get into your house. Where's your key? Where's your passcode?"
Let me in.
So you do not use those stickers.
All right, so
do not
Take it off your doors.
I'm glad I asked. I was curious about, do I need that sticker? But no, I don't. I definitely don't.
They used to have the stickers on the kids' windows too, to locate the windows where the children were, and then people would move away and leave the stickers up there. So now the firefighters think that there's a kid in that room.
God. Oh.
Right? So that's why they're like, no, don't
do
use
that.
the stickers.
Just don't do that.
Don't use the stickers. Talk to your neighbors. Be neighborly. We need a new sense of community.
I think that's the best advice.
Yeah, that's really the best thing to do, is just be neighborly.
We sent something out to our neighbors introducing ourselves and gave the names and descriptions of our dogs. So in case anything happened, I mean, we have a neighborhood dog that escapes all the time. I just hear the neighbors screaming for the dog all the time. And, sometimes, like, my parents had a dog like that would just, like, book it and would just take off, and it would be, like, a mile away in somebody's backyard. And you're just like, what? My dogs don't leave my side. They really don't. They're, like, magnetically attached to... Yeah. Would you mind wrapping us up with just giving us some info for our listeners to go, if they want to learn more about pet safety? Where should they go? What's a good resource for them?
Our organization, we're a nonprofit organization called centerforpetsafety.org. And we work in the consumer interest to ensure pet owners have the knowledge they need to protect their pets. So they can find lots of good information on our website. We do product reviews. We have a certification program. It's been focused on travel. We're expanding that this year. So if you travel with your pets, you want to make sure that they're, buckled in just like you are. And we have independently verified performance of pet products to ensure that you have safe ones to choose from.
That's super helpful. And again, Lindsey, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
My pleasure, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Have
thanks.
a great weekend.
Hi.
Bye. Goodbye. Bye, Zoey.